Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news to share with you guys. Once again, we have more warnings coming out that there is potential war with Russia and also with terror groups in the Middle East, obviously with what's going on down there in Yemen and with Hezbollah, Israel, all these different groups. Now we've got Iran and Pakistan battling it out with each other right now. So we've got a top NATO official that is warning of war and conflict for sure in the next 20 years, basically, is what he's saying. But he's warning that we could be going to war with Russia in the very near term. So I want to talk about this with you guys today. I've warned everybody so many times that there's so many people in governments throughout majority of the West, especially in Europe, that are coming out and saying that all civilians need to start preparing for war. Okay, these officials are warning that you should be stockpiling food, water, medicine, any kind of like survival supplies that you may need, especially to last here with, if you see on the screen, this is Admiral Bauer. Okay, he's the chairman of the NATO military committee. Okay, and he's actually warning people to just have basic necessities, even have a radio and flashlights and batteries and things of that nature. And he's warning people to at least be prepared for the first 36 hours should we have a war break out, in Eastern Europe between Russia and NATO, okay? Because there is a high chance that Russia could attack a NATO member. I'm not sure if that would ever happen, but you never know. You never know what could happen in Ukraine. A lot is going to happen this year, and there's a lot at stake here. We've got Russia beefing up their military, Ukraine's beefing up their military, and just next week, I'm going to be doing another video on this actually today, but next week we have NATO doing a huge, like ginormous exercise, okay guys, like 90,000 troops, tons of military planes, spy planes, tanks, everything. They're going to be doing a huge exercise, and this is the largest exercise since the Cold War. Okay, so I kind of want to go over this with you guys real quick. Let's pull this up. And so civilians in the West should prepare for conflict with Russia, NATO official says, Leading NATO official has warned that civilians in the West should prepare for conflict with Russia. Dutch Admiral Rob Bauer, chairman of the NATO Military Committee, said that while armed forces are already prepared for the outbreak of war, citizens should be ready for a conflict that would require a significant change to their lives. That's a major warning, guys. Admiral Bauer said, we have to realize that it's not a given that we are in peace, and that's why we, NATO forces, are preparing for a conflict with Russia. But the discussion is much wider. It is also the industrial base and also the people that have to understand they play a role. So he is warning citizens directly, civilians, okay, not just military and governments. He is warning that civilians play a vital role in providing support should a war break out. So to me, it is very important that civilians are prepared. I do believe in preparedness. I do think that it is important to be prepared for anything to happen. Even if it's just a storm coming through and tearing up your town. Whether it be tornadoes or anything like that. I think it's always very important to be prepared. Have extra supplies, have extra water, extra food and things like that. At least basic necessities, and especially medicine and medical supplies. So I do agree with that, but it's interesting that they are coming out and making this a very serious topic, I want to say, because it's not just Admiral Bauer that's come out and said this. There's been, defense ministers coming out. We had defense minister in Sweden, in the UK, several countries coming out and saying, hey, we need to start preparing our civilians for war. So it's very serious, guys. I want to make sure you guys understand the severity of this situation, and it's not a joke, okay? So Admiral Bauer said Sweden had done the right thing, calling for its population to prepare for war earlier this month, just as I said. This was just, I want to say 2 weeks ago at the latest, that the defense minister, I believe, of Sweden came out and told their population, hey, let's get ready for war. I actually did a video on that. So if you guys want to go and check out my page, you can go find that. And if you want more information on that. And Admiral Bauer said it starts there. He said the realization that not everything is plannable and not everything is going to be hunky-dory in the next 20 years. The official warning comes ahead of the launch of NATO's biggest exercise since the Cold War, as the alliance practices repelling an invasion by Russian forces. Some 90,000 troops are set to join the Steadfast Defender. That's what they're calling it. I think it's Steadfast Defender 2024. I think something like that is like the official name of this exercise. And it will run through May, including 20,000 troops from the UK. That's a lot of troops, guys. I think this is the most that the UK has ever supplied for a military exercise like this. And then I think in total, it's around 90,000 troops, guys. And we're talking a massive exercise, okay? There's going to be so much equipment being moved over here. And these troops are going to be practicing and preparing how to defend their nations, how we're going to defend each other. Obviously, NATO, how NATO is going to defend each other and prepare for this war to expand with Russia. Because, like I said, the main portion here is really what's going on in Ukraine. The outcome of that could have dire consequences for what happens with NATO. If Ukraine loses this war, there is possibility, and there's a lot of talk that Russia could basically roll through Ukraine and then start attacking a NATO member. I'm not sure if that would happen, but there is a lot of speculation and talk about that going on in governments right now. And for sure, NATO is definitely worried about that. So it's definitely not a joke. Like I said, this is very serious, and that's why I want to bring this to your guys' attention, because it's a big deal here what's going on. And these warnings, it seems like they're coming out every week. And now we've got a top NATO official. Like, to me, this is huge. If NATO is coming out and saying, hey, we need to start preparing for war, then that to me, that's a big sign right there that war is coming. So it's important to be prepared for that. So I was just talking to you guys about this right now. This is UK's defense minister. I actually put a video out on this recently as well that was talking about this, but this is Grant Shapps, the Minister of Defense in UK, or Defense Minister, excuse me. And so he basically put out a statement, and he said the era of peace of dividend is over, okay, and that the world has entered a pre-war period right here. World has entered a pre-war period. So we are not necessarily in war yet, obviously, but we have the potential for war. Major war against Russia or China, North Korea. I've been telling you guys, at least my opinion is that when a war does break out, I don't think it'll just be Russia and NATO. I think it's going to be much larger than that. I think China and North Korea have high potential, especially North Korea, the way they've been acting. They have high potential of joining this fight as well. But then we just have so much destabilization going on with so many different countries, and then neighboring countries to the aggressive countries. So like North Korea and South Korea, for example, that could pop off at any moment, China and Taiwan. So there's just so much happening. And then we've got all this mess in the Middle East right now. So there's just a lot happening, guys. And I want you to be aware of this. I'm not trying to scare you or, fearmonger or anything like that. It's really just to inform you and keep you prepared. So that way, if something like this does happen, you're not caught off guard. You are prepared. You at least got bare minimum food and water and things like that to sustain yourself should something happen, because we may have had a large period of time where there's been lots of peace, but as many of these officials are coming out and saying the era of peace is over, and so many of them are warning that. And if you haven't opened your eyes yet and looked around, there really is no peace right now. We've got wars breaking out all over the place, all over the world, basically. And just recently I heard as well that there's some potential of war breaking out in Africa. Somalia is not happy with some things going on down there too, and they're calling for war as well. So there's war happening all over the place, and it's just a matter of time before it spreads to a country near you. and you don't want to be caught off guard should that happen. So my job is to inform you and make sure that you understand what's going on around the world, so that way you can make preparations for yourself and be ready should something like this happen. So let me show you guys this real quick. So this is Admiral Bauer again right here. So this is a video of him talking about basically warning civilians in the West to prepare, have water, supplies, things like that. So I want to show you guys this real quick so you can see for yourself, and let me know what you think.
You need to have water, you need to have a radio on batteries, and you need to have a flashlight on batteries to make sure that you can survive the first 36 hours. Things like that. That's simple things. But it starts there. The realization that not everything is plannable, not everything is going to be hunky-dory in the next 20 years. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans. That's why we are preparing for a conflict with Russia and the terror groups, if it comes to it, if they attack us. We're not seeking any conflict. But if they attack us, we have to be ready. You need to have water.
Okay, so did you see what he was talking about there? So he's mentioning there that if we get attacked by Russia, I thought it was interesting that he mentioned these terror groups too, that it's not just Russia that is the potential threat. It's these terror groups as well, what's going on in the Middle East, because obviously things are flaring up down there. And what did we have back in 2001? It wasn't Russia or something that attacked us, at least from what we were told, right? We were told that it was a terrorist attack from, Middle Eastern terror groups, basically. So that's why, we went to war in the Middle East. But here he's warning, yes, Russia and these terror groups, if we get attacked by them, we need to be prepared to defend ourselves. But ultimately, the civilians play a major role in being prepared. Because you got to think too, if we go into like a wartime economy, guys, a lot of things are going to change, and we're going to need a lot of people to be healthy and strong and be able to produce, weapons, ammunition, things like that. And if people are not prepared and supply chains get shut down or something like that, we're all going to be in really big trouble. So I do understand what he's saying here, and I don't think it's fear-mongering. I think it is a legitimate, statement to warn people about the potential for war, because anything can happen. He's right. Anything can happen. And we can't always expect it to be hunky-dory, as he said, for the next 20 years, especially with the way things are right now. And again, at least me, I believe that this war in Ukraine is very crucial. I think there's probably way more behind the scenes that even we're not being told about. And there's a reason why Ukraine is putting up so much of a fight here, and NATO is not willing to back down and let them fall. There's a lot to it here, and probably more than even I'm informed of, or many of you are informed of. So these people are obviously in the know-how. They understand what's going on here, and clearly this is a major warning going out to let everybody know that, something bad may happen here pretty soon, and just be prepared for that. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Again, this is not fear-mongering or anything like that. It's really just to inform you. That way you can make preparations for yourself should you want to do that. I recommend that you do. And just be ready for anything to happen at some point, because obviously if you look around the world, there's lots of war breaking out, and there's potential for wider conflict, and eventually for the United States or the West to get involved in this. And in my opinion, we already are involved. So we'll have to see what happens here. And, aside from that, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and give a thumbs up on this video if you enjoy. So thank you so much again for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and God bless.